Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Sense for Thoughts. I'm Mo, and today we have the third of 4 maceration experiment results. And today we are talking about, of course, Dior Fahrenheit. I have these two identical twin bottles with the same batch code that I've been macerating for 4 months now. One was left sealed until today, or rather this week when I've been testing them, and the other was macerated, meaning a dent was put in and it was allowed to sit in a dark room by itself, hopefully doing some stuff. So let's talk about that. And also I have my main bottle of Dior Fahrenheit, which is this one, this beauty here from the 90s, early 90s. You know what, let's just, to get in the mood, let's just put some more on. It's my scent of the day today. Now I'm in gasoline and leather heaven. Let's begin. So in case you did not catch part 1 and 2, we tried to macerate Amouage Epic Man for 3 months. Totally nothing happened. In part 2, we macerated Encre Noire à l'Extrême by Lalique, and we did have some changes and some improvements. And then for part 3, we've got this Fahrenheit, and part 4, the finale, we have a Middle Eastern cheapie / clone. I keep forgetting his name. Afnan Turathi Blue, the Tiger one. So that will be interesting. But today we've got Dior Fahrenheit. So what happened to these? Just before we continue, I'm just going to show you the batch codes and the liquid levels, just so that there is absolutely no funny business. Boom, you can pause and have a look. Identical batches, which means these were filled from one big tub of Fahrenheit in Dior's factory sometime in 2024. As you can see, one completely, totally unused except the testing this week, and one has a fair bit of a dent in it. So what has happened? I've got them sprayed here on paper just to remind me. So I'll be honest with you guys, I was in denial about this one, and I was expecting nothing to happen. So as per usual, I have these blind sprayed for me on skin and on strip. Multiple strips, 6 strips to be exact, 3 of this one, 3 of this one. My arms, 3 sprays on each, 3 sprays on each. Progressive smelling as we do usually. Totally blindfolded throughout the whole process. And I experimented to see what the scent profile was like, whether one was stronger than the other, what longevity was like, and whether they were lifting off of the skin a bit more. And with this one, because it's Dior and it's a designer, an expensive designer at that, I expected, especially one that doesn't sell very much, I don't believe Fahrenheit is a top seller like it used to be in the 80s and 90s anymore, that there would be no changes. But there were changes. So let's talk about the changes in more detail with these 2 bottles of Fahrenheit. So the one that was unmacerated, brand new, literally only been sprayed in the past couple of days, what did that one smell like? Well, this one, if I was to use one word to describe it, it smelled a bit immature. Okay, what do I mean by that? I think immature is genuinely the best word I can come up with to describe what this one smelled like. It smelled like Fahrenheit, and it had all the ingredients of Fahrenheit, but it's young and immature. It doesn't quite know itself yet. It doesn't know what its strengths are, what its weaknesses are. It's hiding some things inside because it's kind of immature and just doesn't want to show itself. So with this one, it smelled quite faint in comparison. Also, the carnation and some of the spicy touches. Carnation is of spicy floral, and I think there's other spices in here, nutmeg if I remember correctly, were kind of hidden. They just did not come to the forefront. It felt like you were just getting the violet, and it was kind of a bit shy. It just didn't want to come out to play. Now this one, big dent and 4 months later, this one opened up, and I totally understand what people say by opened up, because it opened up to allow you to smell it. This one was shy. It's just like, don't smell me. I'm too shy and immature. I'm not confident. This one opened up. You can smell the individual notes a bit better. It's letting you in. It's allowing you to enjoy it and smell it and get more of it. So this one is smoother. This one is more high definition. This is the macerated one, by the way. The macerated one was high definition, smoother, and it just allowed you to pick out the notes a lot more because it was genuinely stronger to smell. Now, to begin with, the strength was kind of the same, okay? But one, you could just smell and pick out the notes a lot better, which was the matured one, whilst the immature one was just not letting you in. But what happened is that 4 to 6 hours later, this one started to fade away on skin and on paper. This one was completely gone after 8 hours. This one carried on in the 10-hour mark, being quite a visible skin scent. And on paper, it was very much a similar experience. Even now, these are like over 24 hours old. You can tell clearly that this was the macerated one because it's still there. This one is like, I could mistake this for an unsprayed piece of paper. That's how much it's gone. This one, it just smells like the dry down of Dior Fahrenheit, if you know what I mean. So that was my experience. Now, Dior Fahrenheit is to me, quite a linear scent, okay? It just stays the same for a prolonged period of time, and then in the deep dry down, it starts to loosen with florals and become a bit more leathery. So the progressive smelling test did not yield any results. It's just this one was basically ahead of the pack by about 2 hours. So the immature one was out and out, done at around the 6 to 8 hour mark. This one kept on going to that 8 hour mark. That is what happened with this experiment. Now, I want to talk about Dior Fahrenheit in general, just so that this video is a bit more of use. So Dior Fahrenheit, I of course have this vintage bottle here, and I got this in Japan, and it is a 1995, I believe. Let's just spray some more on, why not? Just on my arm here. Fantastic. And just for a fair comparison, I will spare the mature one on the other hand here. First of all, I have to say a disclaimer, okay? Dior Fahrenheit is not my favorite perfume from the 80s and 90s. Okay, I respect this perfume. It's made by one of my favorite perfumers, Mr. Swisak. I appreciate how crazy it was, how artistic and niche it was. And yes, I'm using that A word again. And I appreciate how it stood against, everything else that was being released at the time. But I need to tell you this disclaimer, it's not in my top 5. Am I selling this bottle? Hell no, I'm keeping this bottle because I do enjoy wearing it from time to time and absolutely will be wearing it and putting a dent in. But the reason I tell you that this is not even in my top 5 vintage fragrances is for a very specific reason. I have a theory that if you really love a fragrance and you're madly in love with it, the finer details matter. So for example, I love Chanel Egoiste, and for me, I despise the new one. I think, wow, they ruined it, right? And I feel very strongly about that. But for 9 people out of 10 will tell you that the new bottle of Chanel Egoiste is fantastic, it's great, it's perfect, it's a good reformulation. If people are telling you it's a good reformulation, and then some people are telling you, no, it sucks, you need to get the vintage, what is the differentiating factor? Is it one's nose is better than the other? I think it isn't, okay? I think Chanel Egoiste, even though I disagree, is categorically a good reformulation. But just because I love the vintage so much, and I love the fragrance so much, that those minor details and minor differences make a difference to me. But for the average person, they don't. So when someone tells you you need to get the vintage Fahrenheit, it's 20 times better than the current version, if they really love Fahrenheit, you need to take what they say with a pinch of salt, because to them, it makes a huge difference. But to the most general population of fragrance consumers who are not madly in love with this, they will tell you that this is a good reformulation. And I'm here to tell you that this 2024 bottle is an excellent reformulation. Anything from the Demachi until today is an excellent reformulation. These guys smell very, very similar. They're definitely the same perfume, but there are some minor nuances and differences, and I'll tell you about those. So what are these differences? Okay, the vintage is categorically more powerful and potent and longer lasting. That is a fact. Okay, you can't deny that. Another thing that I can tell is that the ingredients are definitely higher quality in this. This feels more like a niche offering, whilst this feels like a designer offering, which it is. Just from the smell, from the quality of the ingredients, you can really get a feel that this is higher quality ingredients were used. And the biggest difference for me by far is that the vintage has a more dirty, leathery feel. It's categorically more dirty, more worn leather. This is barely leathery. I mean, it is leathery, right? But it's like more of a supple, clean leather. This one is like, it's seen better days. It's been baking in the sun. So for me, for 90% of people, I would recommend just getting the modern. It can be had for so damn cheap. It's unbelievable. And you'll get your Fahrenheit kick and have nothing to worry about. But for those people that really, really love and adore Fahrenheit, then obviously the vintage is just, you can't replace it. You can't replicate it. And this is the one to go for. When it comes to Dior Fahrenheit and what it smells like, I get the image that most people tend to get, is that it's a car in the 80s and you drop the top. Okay, so roof down, and it's got these 80s leather seats that happen to be, you know, that peanut butter brown kind of color. Okay, and you're out there and you're wearing one of those 80s shirts, buttons undone, and the sun is baking the leather. Okay, it's absolutely like if you touch the leather of your car, it's going to be a problem. It's going to burn the crap out of you, right? And then you're wearing this kind of shirt with the top 3 buttons undone, your chest hair is out, and you're in the 80s, remember? So you stop at a gas station and you are in the middle of, I don't know, Nevada in the desert. You stop at this gas station and you're filling up this classic car, which at the time I guess is not a classic car, but you know, how I picture it is a classic car. And you can just smell the petrol, the gasoline that you're filling up, and you're wearing these classic Levi fake boy denim, and maybe even a complete Canadian tuxedo at this point, or a leather jacket, where you can smell the leather baking, that real leather, none of this vegan leather that's used in cars these days, but that real good stuff. That's what you're smelling, and you don't care in the slightest about anything at that point. That's the image that I get. This one conveys it better because it has that dirtiness, more leatheriness, okay, more unwashedness kind of quality about it. It's no chorus, but it does give that vibe. This one is more of a non-HD version of it, okay? It's like you're not living it, okay? You're watching it at home. This, you're watching it on the big screen and you feel like you're like in the movie. You can see that, okay? That's the difference. Would I recommend paying extortionate amounts of money for this? No, I honestly wouldn't, unless you're a huge fan, like this is your favorite perfume or one of your top 5, then yes, this will be like immediately a humongous upgrade for you. For the regular person, just get the modern and be happy. Avoid anything pre-Demachi, 2005 till 2015. Those ones were apparently very poor and laced with vanilla and smelled nothing like either of these. So get one of the modern ones, 2015 onwards, Demachi era, and or obviously go vintage before 2005 if you can. So why is Fahrenheit not in my top vintage fragrances? To be honest with you, the way it gets spoken about, okay, made me have an anticipated feel and expectation that this would be super hardcore and difficult to wear and difficult to pull off. But ultimately, it's still a very gentlemanly scent. It's just a gentleman from the 80s who kind of doesn't care, but it's still still gentlemanly. It's not that crazy. I was expecting a bit more fireworks from this one. And don't get me wrong, it's very potent, it's very classical, but it still has that cleanliness, that well put together kind of vibe. So that's why this one is not in my favorites, because I was expecting something insane. But obviously, I'm visiting this from the 2025 point of view. And there are some absolutely insane, crazy leathers out there. For example, Coin by Otto Parisi. See, I was expecting this to be like on that mental level. But obviously, this is truly a remarkable fragrance from 1988. It is a trendsetter. It is a huge move by Dior. It shows that the designers back then didn't need niche, because these guys were coming up with these truly niche creations, and they were innovating. And this is like the glory days of designer perfumes, when they're coming out with this stuff, competing with each other to be more unique and more different, rather than competing on who can make the best-selling bubblegum or Ambroxan bomb perfume. And now we have to rely on those niche and indie brands that are very expensive, by the way. Bloody hell, it's bad, okay? To kind of get that same creativity and kick, when actually Dior were doing it and Chanel were doing it. So I do love this one. I'll definitely be giving it plenty of wears. It's not as crazy as I hoped it would be. It's not as insane as I hoped that it would be, but it is still absolutely perfect, and is definitely going to stay in my collection. As for these two, I don't really think I'll need any more Fahrenheit than my vintage 100ml, so I'm thinking I should give these two to you guys in a giveaway when we do hit 1K. So make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.